Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies, and this is the Fivics Argon-X Recurve bow, or Recurve riser. Fivics produce a number of risers, the Titan, the Titan-NX, the Argon, and they all look very similar. The Argon-X, what makes it different to the Titan is there's more weight down the bottom, apparently. And so the balance is meant to be a little bit different. The bow feels a little bit different to shoot, so that's why we're going to shoot it today. Now what makes Fivics a bit different is the grips. They're always this high grip. And I shot the Velator for, feels like about a year, which I really liked. It just wasn't as polished as the more expensive bows. So that's why we're going back to try this bow. Now Fivics has a number of limbs also for their bows. So they have the Argon-X limbs, the Titan-NX limbs, and other Titan limbs, the Velator limbs. Now, the Titan limbs and the Argon-X limbs are the same price. So I'm like, well, what's the difference between this? The Argon-X has 1K carbon and the Titan-NX limbs have 3K carbon. So I sent Fivics an email and said, well, isn't the Titan-NX limbs, which is these ones, better because they're the 3X carbon? So there's 3 times as much carbon in the weave. And they said actually the 1X is a better carbon. So they said the Argon-X limbs are slightly thinner and there are faster limbs. So they said they would recommend the Titan-NX limbs for someone who's less advanced because they're a little bit more stable. So someone who's looking for more speed may go for the Argon-X limbs. So I don't know what that kind of means and how much extra speed it means. But we're going to just talk through what I fitted this bow with, and we're going to test it, and I'm going to talk about how it shoots. So I fitted with it the Fivics Recurve sight because I've been wanting to upgrade my Recurve sight for a while, so I thought we'll fit the Fivics Recurve sight to it. Now I've shot it for about 2 or 3 days. This little screw here came loose once. Besides that, I found it quite nice and it's kind of well priced. We've put the Fivics stabilizers on it, which I reviewed before, which I really liked. They're quite expensive, but they're quite nice stabilizers. I fitted to it the new Fivics arrow rest, which this has been really stable. They sell for about $40. I fitted the Win ARC clicker, which is curved, which I really like. I fitted a $10 plunger button to it. The screws are missing, and that's probably a mistake, but it was $10 and it was just kind of sitting there. Now, my staff think I should have a decent plunger button on the bow because they say that's the most important thing in accuracy. This is just a string we made up. This is a Win top little stabilizer rubber thing. It absorbs a bit of shock and a bit of vibration. This does come loose, and it comes loose on the Win bow too, which is a little bit annoying. Now with the Titan-NX limbs, this little screw here has come loose, and the little spring and the little thing, the little pin inside's popped out, which I've recovered. But just watch those. If they are coming loose, put a bit of Loctite on them. And I'd probably suggest hitting it with Loctite anyway. So let's shoot and let's discuss how this bow feels. Now one of the major points of difference between Fivics and other bows is the material they machine their risers out of. They use a 6000 alloy. Now that's not as high as a lot of the other companies who use 7000 alloy. The 7000 alloy is a stronger alloy. Now what Fivics claim is it's more forgiving, so it absorbs more shock and more vibration than the 6000, and the 7000 is more rigid, so you'll feel more shock. Now I have been shooting the ATF-X Win bow, and I did shoot a state record last week with it, and straight after the state record I grabbed this bow and thought, let's try this bow out. The bow's 50 pounds at my draw length. There are about 44 pound limbs on it. I'm shooting 600 spine arrows. They're probably a little bit too light for the bow, but they seem to group alright. So let's just have a few shots and see how it goes. Now one thing with the Fivics, I really like the grip. Their grip really puts my hand in that position there. And literally from the first time I shot this particular riser, the Argon-X, the grip just felt natural to me. I wasn't having any of the left and right shooting that I got with the ATF-X when I first shot it. So I went from the ATF, the Win and Win ATF, to the ATF-X, and I actually shot worse to start with. I shot worse for about 2 weeks, and then my scores picked up and I started shooting pretty good. This bow, I haven't shot score with it yet. I've only shot it like literally 2 or 3 times. I haven't shot a score, but I feel like I'm shooting pretty well with it. So let's sort of see how this goes, despite my plunger button coming loose. So I find the bow a little bit noisier than some. Now I don't know if that's the string. The nocks are a little bit tight on the string. I'd like the nocks look more loose. So I'd like a thinner center serving. But look, I'm just shooting it and we'll see how it sort of turns out. So with the Velator grip from Fivics, it's a plastic grip. The Argon-X and the Titan risers use a wood grip. The grip is actually wider than the Velator grip, and I really like the Velator grip. But this grip just felt very natural in my hand, straight up. Where when I first tried the Titan riser, it's probably got the same grip. I felt like the grip was too big for my hand. But now, having shot this bow, it just feels good in the hand. Now, what I find with the Argon-X bow, I don't feel any vibration after the shot. It feels very crisp when I shoot it. So I don't feel any of like this or vibration. It just, you take the shot and it's just crisp. I feel my hand comes back. I feel the bow kind of move forward. It's a very nice feeling bow to shoot. And I feel like, so Win and Win have got a whole bunch of different grips you can fit to their bows, which I've ordered because I feel the grip on a recurve is particularly important. With a compound, you kind of heal the bow, and most of the compound grips are kind of similar. With the recurve grip, I feel like you want it to be something comfortable in your hand because you're pulling back 50 pounds and you've got 50 pounds of pressure on that front hand. And you don't want it moving left and right. And I feel like if I get a different grip, then I feel like my arrows move left to right. So it'll be interesting to see how this group groups. But now that was a terrible release. I plucked it straight off the fingers, and I feel like it probably went okay. Now I do bad releases with other bows. This feels a little bit more forgiving to me. I don't know how that shot was, but it wasn't a great release. And I suppose that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for good groups, hopefully lots of arrows in the 10. Like that shot was just absolutely great. It just felt brilliant. I'm really liking the Win and Win ARC clicker. I'm finding it really easy to load. I kind of feel like I want dampeners on these limbs to quieten it down a bit because I feel like it's a little bit noisy. I don't know if that means I need to change the string, but I feel like the groups are pretty good and I haven't scored yet. And what's particularly different with the Titan limbs, and I feel like recurve limbs in particular, you tend to change. I don't know if it's because you're changing poundage, but they all tend to feel a little bit different. The Win and Win MXT limbs that I've been shooting now for a while, they've got a lot more recurve on them. and they build up poundage a lot more through the shots, through that draw cycle, so it builds up a lot quicker. So they tend to be a faster limb than these. However, these limbs are pretty quick. These limbs stack at the back end, but I find them a little bit easier to shoot, so they don't fatigue my muscles as much because I'm not pulling back as much poundage, even though the limbs are heavier, if that makes any sense. Because I'm only holding the 50 pounds for a split second right at the very end. And the shot seems to come off the fingers really well, except for that one which I obviously plucked. But now Fivics do the risers in lots of different colours. This is obviously the black, which I thought looked good, but the other colours, the red, the orange, the greens, they look good. Fivics limbs, I've had a good run with Fivics limbs. I've had no warranty replacements. They've been rock solid, touch wood. Now the Velator riser is a little bit lighter than this riser. This is a pretty standard weight for a recurve riser, about 1,300 grams. The Crosson Xenia riser, which if you can, very hard to get your hands on because they haven't been producing them for a while. They're apparently going to be in production in April 2022. They're very light and they have a grip which is very similar to this. It's quite a high grip. The riser itself is very light, so great for beginners. That riser is one of my favourites, but you haven't been able to get them for about 8 months. So this riser feels more stable. It feels like it absorbs more shock. It feels cleaner. It feels more accurate. I feel more accurate with this riser. Now, I don't know if that's a myth because I haven't shot scores yet, but I think it looks good. Price point, it's priced similar to the top of the line Winner Wins, which means it's cheaper than your Hoyts. So I think if you're looking for a top of the range recurve bow, you kind of want a whole one. If you can shoot one, even better, because they do feel different. So there's that top stabilizer coming loose. Now Fivics produce, obviously, recurve bows. They produce arrows. Not many people shoot their arrows. I don't know if they're big in Europe or not. They claim they're very high quality and they are fairly high priced. They do produce cheaper arrows also, but they do produce arrows equivalent to the Eastern X10s. I find one of the problems with Fivics is, and probably all the recurve manufacturers, and probably not so much as Fivics, is the communication. And what I'm trying to say in that is, when you're looking at a bow, the Titan-EX, and the Argon look the same. So when you're looking to buy one, it's like, well, which one am I going to get? Same with the limbs, like they have these different limbs, which one do I get? It's very hard to pick the difference. And the same can be said for like all the, Win and Win. Probably not Hoyt because they probably only have an expensive recurve. I don't really know because I'm not a Hoyt dealer, but it's just confusing for customers to know what to buy, because chances are you wouldn't have shot it and you're buying it because you've seen someone with it, or you've seen a review, or you just like the look of it, or you like the price. I really like shooting this bow. So with the win, which I'm completely happy with, sometimes I'm hitting my chest, and sometimes I'm hitting my arm. And you can see I've got no arm going on. This one's been pretty good. I haven't been getting any strikes. I feel like I'm putting my body in the right position, and I've only just started. I feel like I need to, like the plunger had worked loose. So yeah, I probably need to invest in a plunger button that's at least kind of together. Now I was previously shooting these Titan limbs on the win riser, and I was more than happy with them. And I was actually shooting really well with these limbs on the win riser, and I thought, well, let's go back to the MXT limbs and see how I shoot with them. And then I shot really well with those as well, so it was like, well, I'm not seeing much difference, let's stick win with win. But they are definitely different limbs to shoot. Alright, let's go and have a look at that group, because I've got no idea where they land. Okay, so I'm up here at the target. Look, I've got one out here, which is at, 7, 8. I've got another one out there, which, like, that's okay. But what I've got is I've got a whole bunch of arrows in the 10. Like, and that's a really tight, really good group, which gives me a lot of positive feeling about this Argon-X riser and the whole Fivics build. I know the plunger, this could be the plunger which had moved out in one of the shots, I don't know which arrow this one is. I know the plunger had moved. But look, there's a little bit of up and down, but like when you're shooting a recurve at 50 pounds, and that was my first end, I've been resting today because I've pulled a muscle, but this is my first end. And it just is, like, it's really, really good. I was shooting at a little bit over 18 meters. I normally average around 270, so I keep most of my arrows in the gold. So, but that means I'm hitting reds as well. Now, recently, in the last 2 weeks, I've been shooting around 280s out of 300s with the recurve, and that's with the win ATF-X. So I've been shooting as well as I ever have. But to me, this is every bit as good as that. And again, I haven't shot scores, and that's what I need to do. So that's my next step, to shoot scores with this bow. Now, saying that, my win ATF-X is completely set up. So I haven't got the stabilizers on there. It's completely set up. So I haven't touched it. So I shoot this bow now. So I shoot it, I shoot scores, and hopefully my scores will improve. And if they do, then I'll shoot this bow leading up to whatever I'm going to shoot next. But overall, I really like the grip. The grip to me is really, really comfortable. I'm a huge fan. I like the way it comes off, so I'm not getting any sort of vibration with it. It's straight. It feels very positive to shoot. I really like the Titan limbs, and I kind of almost feel they're not as good as the win limbs. And some people say, well, the Yucca limbs are good, and I take all that in, but these limbs seem to come off my fingers really well. Really clean. And I'm going to say that probably the NSG limbs from Win are probably going to be a similar kind of limb, and they're a great limb also. Nothing wrong with the MX10 limbs, more than happy shooting them, they look great. But I just feel that I'm shooting really well with this bow, and that's straight up. Like, I haven't tuned it, I just slapped everything on and went and shot a couple of arrows with it. So, but overall, I'm more than happy with that. So that's the Argon-X from Fivics. Fivics produce, as I said, produce a whole range of gear. Their stuff's generally of high quality, generally well priced. And when I say generally well priced, I'm going to say there's probably things in their lineup which their bow stands pretty expensive, but it's a very high, like it's a very good product. So it's more expensive, but then it's really good compared to the other bow stands on the market. So overall, I think Fivics have stuff pretty much exactly where it needs to be in the market. It's a good quality product. Sometimes it's hard to get products from Fivics as far as they're out of stock. Obviously COVID's been hard for most manufacturers. Now Fivics have two factories, one in China and one in Korea. I don't know what's made in Korea and what's made in China. They do have it on their catalogue, but I'm not even pretending to understand what's in what factory. I just order the bits and they come in two shipments from UPS or FedEx or whoever's shipping the stuff in, or whether one of my companies picks it up. But overall, the quality is always high. They get back to you pretty quick if you need some communication. Communication is very good with the company. There's quite a few Fivics. I think Fivics is very popular in Europe. And there's quite a few Fivics being shot at the Olympics, generally by European archers. So they generally, and they're very popular in Korea too, Fivics. You see Fivics on lots of Korean TV shows. So anyway, Fivics Argon-X I really like. For some reason I like it better than the Titan-X. Not sure why, and I don't know if it's growing on me. But to me this bow feels better than the Velator, which I really liked. I just feel it's more stable and feels better in the shot, feels better to draw. It's definitely one of my favourite recurve bows I've shot to date. I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Thanks for watching. Bye.